In an unknown land, there was a chapel, and inside that chapel, a priest. This priest was an expert in dealing with vampirism, very adept at curing the disease and finding ways to avoid it in the first place. He would train many acolytes to hunt vampires and kill them, and because of that, this priest was famous. One day, a man came into his chapel seeking counsel, for this man wanted to become a vampire hunter. The priest answered as many questions as he could, especially about vampires that laired in Skyrim. He told the vampire hunter about the Volkihar vampires, about how powerful they were, the strongest actually, in raw physical might. The vampire hunter wasn't scared, however, since he had been a trainer for the Fighters Guild, and so he left to hunt the Volkihar vampires. From his hunt, the vampire hunter learned a secret, not known to anyone, not even the priest. He learned that the Volkihar vampires had the unique ability to move through the ice without breaking it, as if the ice wasn't even there. When the vampire hunter moved across an iceberg in the north of Skyrim, a vampiric arm raised from the ice floor without making a sound and grabbed him on the leg. The hunter, however, succeeded in his hunt and slayed the vampire. He came back to the priest to retell his tale of victory, and so they discussed. The hunter had a new target, the vampires of Valenwood, and so the priest told him all he knew about the vampires in that region. The priest told the hunter that there are indeed many different kinds of vampires in Valenwood, and each type has a very peculiar power. The Bonsamu vampires were identical to normal people. In fact, there was literally no way of telling them apart, except by using the light from a waxed candle. The Yekef vampires could swallow men whole like a snake, leaving no residue behind. The most feared, however, were the Telboth vampires, who would specifically prey on children, a lot of them being like Babette, child vampires who enjoyed torturing people. They would kill a child in a family and then use illusion magic to take on the place of the child in the family, just to emotionally destroy the parents by being overly sadistic. And just when they had squashed every ounce of trauma, would they finally finish the job and kill the parents. Lastly, the priest told the hunter about the Kilrith vampires, who could turn into mist and escape any harm. The vampire hunter, fueled with all of this information, set out on an expedition to Valenwood in order to hunt these vampires. The hunter came back to the priest successfully, having claimed the life of each of these vampires. The hunter's next target was Cyrodiil, and so the priest explained that the vampires in Cyrodiil were going to be by far the most difficult. See, the vampiric order that dominates Cyrodiil has been so successful that they have actually removed every single rival clan away from the province, pretty much claiming the heart of the empire for themselves. They are, however, not known for their physical might, but instead for their secrecy. No one actually knows what name their clan has, and only refer to it as the Vampirum Order. Their motto is actually quite simple, yet extremely powerful. Reveal yourselves to none, and manipulate the hand of society to meet out our agendas. And that's really all they do, but they do it really freaking well. In fact, it is believed that this order has members on the highest councils of the imperial government, and that is indeed their main focus of success. They try and obtain as much influence as possible, political or otherwise, and then use this influence to improve the order in whatever ways they can. The reason they are so good at manipulating society is because these vampires have made a pact with Clavicus Vile. Through this pact, the vampires have obtained special unique abilities that allow them to live amongst mankind and twist their mind to the vampire's will. Knowing all of this, the now legendary vampire hunter set out to Cyrodiil in order to hunt them down. However, he failed miserably. He couldn't find a single vampire from this order and came back to the priest empty-handed. "I failed," said the hunter, as the priest approached, lighting a small candle. "I couldn't find a single one," replied the hunter, as the priest continued to approach. The priest then, without responding, lifted the candle close to his face, revealing that the priest was a Bonsamu vampire all along, and surprised, the legendary vampire hunter was finally killed. This legendary vampire hunter is none other than Movarth Bequeen, the leader of the Movarth Coven in Skyrim, now twisted and contorted into a master vampire who seeks nothing else but to feed from the blood of the innocent. As you guys can see, there are at least 100 different variations of vampires in Elder Scrolls, and every single vampire is special and unique in their own ways. Not just in the way that they like to kill and feed, but every single variation of vampire possesses their own unique strain of vampirism, which grants them special powers. These special powers can shift from invisibility to mind control to the ability to turn into mist to even shape-shifting powers. There is, however, one thing that all of these clans have in common, and that is, they all owe their existence to one specific Daedric Lord, Molag Bal. If you want to learn more about this Daedric Lord, then check out the secrets video that I made for him 4 years ago. In any case, it is agreed universally that Molag Bal was the creator for the vampiric race, and the way he did this is actually quite interesting. You see, Molag Bal raped a Nedic woman a very long time ago. The rape was so brutal that there was no chance that she would survive the encounter. However, Molag Bal left a single drop of blood from his own and left it on her brow, signaling a dark ritual to turn her into the very first vampire. This Nedic woman was named Lemay Belfag, now better known as the Blood Matron and the mother of all vampires. She proceeded to kill and transform as many Nedics of her tribe as she could. This is important to know because the Nedics were at the time a nomadic race, so by transforming as many of them as she did, she assured that the vampiric disease would flow all across the globe as the nomadic tribe would move from province to province. This resulted in the reason why you can find this disease in every corner of the world. Every vampire that has a close lineage to Lemay is considered a true vampire, which means they are the most powerful kind of vampire. The farther to Lemay in the lineage you are, the weaker you become, since the more diluted your vampiric blood is. This does not apply if you specifically become a vampire via a pact made directly with Molag Bal, like Harkon in Skyrim did. Harkon made a pact with Molag Bal in that he would sacrifice thousands of innocent souls in order to become a true vampire. This means that theoretically his blood is as pure as Lemay herself, since both were transformed by the Daedric Prince of Domination himself. This is why every vampire that is created by Harkon is inherently more powerful than a vampire created by a random one somewhere else. The nature of the type of the pact that you must do with Molag Bal, however, differs depending on the individual. Valerica and Serana had to go through an entirely different ritual to obtain their vampirism, a ritual very similar to that of LeMay. Both of them had to submit themselves to be raped by Molag Bal in a dark ritual that would turn them into what is called a Daughter of Cold Harbor. When asked about it, Serana claims that the ritual was extremely degrading. She even shows signs of post-traumatic stress coming from the ritual, claiming that she will never again set foot in a church and she will never speak of the ritual to anybody. She also refuses to ever marry a person. The most interesting thing, however, is that not everyone agrees that LeMay was the very first vampire, or that the event even happened. Most cultures do agree on it, except for Morrowind. The Tribunal teaches a very different interpretation of events. They claim that instead, Molag Bal destroyed an extremely powerful individual, and that this individual ended up becoming the very first vampire. The interesting bit is that they actually believe that this very powerful individual might have been a Daedric Lord. Now, usually you would pay no heed to a lone rumor, especially when the rest of the world believes otherwise. But this is coming from the Tribunal. You have to remember that these guys are pretty much like gods. They are so smart that some of them have even achieved Kim, the ultimate prowess in skill and intellect. So that brings to question, well, could this be true? Had Molag Bal defeated a Daedric Lord? There are many diverging routes to this possibility. You see, there is a rumor out there that Hircine and Molag Bal actually worked together in order to create a very powerful strain of vampirism. This rumor alone might serve no purpose until you realize that there is indeed a very popular and extremely powerful strain of vampirism that shares a lot with lycanthropy, the ultimate creation of Hircine. You might have heard of porphyric hemophilia, which is the disease that you get in Oblivion before you transform into a vampire. You also must have heard of sanguinaria vampiris, which is the disease you get in Skyrim before you transform into a vampire. But you might have not heard of noxiphilic sanguivoria. This particular strain, it's interesting because it's more powerful than the rest. This strain transforms you into a vampire that is actually immune to the effects of the sun. In essence, they're just like normal people during the day, and then they gain insurmountable power during the night. Very much similar to a lycanthrope who walks the streets of towns like a normal mortal, only to then turn into a powerful beast in a full moon at night. You might think though that this is merely a stretch, just a common similarity, but there's actually more. You see, in Skyrim, if you want to turn yourself into a lycanthrope, you have to go through a very specific ritual. It's not like you can just get slashed or bitten by a werewolf in order to turn into one. Instead, there is an elaborate process that has you drink up on the blood of a willing lycanthrope, essentially taking in the cursed blood inside of your body. Noxiphilic sanguivoria actually shares this factor with lycanthropy. You can't just get bitten by one of these vampires in order to turn yourself into this special kind. Nope. You instead have to go through a ritual that has you bathe in the blood of a vampire of this kind. The ritual has you lose all of your natural blood and have that be replaced entirely by the new cursed blood, essentially taking in the cursed blood inside of your body. So as you can see, there's some baffling similarities between these two kinds of curses. Couple that with the fact that there is a rumor that Molag Bal and Hircine both conspired to create the ultimate curse, brings this theory a little bit closer to reality. But what if these two rumors are true? What if Molag Bal did indeed destroy a Daedric Lord and turned him into a vampire? What if Hircine and Molag Bal conspired and worked together to perform this feat? It wouldn't be the first. We know that Daedric princes conspired together to bring down the might of the Daedric prince Jiggalag and cursed him into becoming something else, into becoming Shoggorath. Who knows? It is entirely possible that yet another Daedric Lord was vanquished, and vampires are merely the remnant of his passing. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like it if you liked it, and dislike it if you didn't. Thank you so much, those of you who are helping me out on Patreon. It's been kind of rough on YouTube lately with the ad situation, so I pulled up my Patreon once again, and I'm asking those of you who want to support the channel a little bit more to feel free to go over there and leave $1 or $3 or something like that if you can. If not, it's completely fine. But either way, thank you guys so much for supporting, and yeah, have a great day.